Mr. McClintock.
Pretty fancy fighting for a country boy.
2 years at Purdue, Mr. McClintock.
On the boxing team. I never thought any farmer could whip me.
You sure did.
Better get him cleaned up. Get him some water, Jake.
Yep.
Get yourself cleaned up. Go ask that girl for a dance.
Who? Oh!
Did I miss one?
Where is he? I'll find him, that young whippersnapper.
Trouble.
Where is that farmer boy? Where is he? Where is he, G.W.? Oh, so you're the young farmer boy that whipped my nephew. Well, I'm Fauntleroy Sage, young Ben's uncle.
Well, I'm no farmer, but if you're young Ben's uncle, yes, I whipped him. And you're intruding.
What's intruding mean?
Butting in.
Oh, so he's insulting me. Well, then I got another reason for walloping him. Besides, on account of him thrashing my nephew, young Ben.
Fauntleroy, you can't get mixed up in these youngsters' quarrel.
Family honor. I can't have said a farmer whipped a sage.
You're twice his size.
Don't let that bother you, Mr. McClintock. Mr. Fauntleroy insists. I'll just have to teach him the same lesson.
Say! Sorry, young feller. Hate to have to do that, young fella. No hard feelings.
Not yet.
Not yet what?
I mean, that isn't all.
Now, wait a minute. Fauntleroy, we're gonna make this a fair fight.
Of course we are. Of course we are, G.W.
There'll be none of this.
I wouldn't do that, G.W.
You wouldn't do...
No, I wouldn't do that.
And Dev, I don't want you kicking Fauntleroy in the knee.
He didn't do no such thing.
And none of this nose twisting. He's all yours.
Well, where are my glasses?
You all right, young feller?
Ouch! I'm all right. This Indian agent will stop stepping all over me.
I beg your pardon, G.W. You're just funning me. But I want you to know that boy fought me a fair fight.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Fauntleroy.
Here's my uncle. Fauntleroy, what have you been doing? I hope my uncle didn't bother anybody.
No bother.
I think we'd better join the ladies before they get curious. Drago.
Fauntleroy, let's line them all up for a do-si-do.
Jake, you think tincture of arnica would help?
Could be. Used to help you.
Gentlemen, to the medicine cabinet.
Good morning, Drago.
Morning, Davy.
You seen Daddy?
Took over early this morning with a scattergun over his arm. Went hunting.
Morning, Daddy.
Good afternoon. I'll get you out so early.
There's something I have to get straight in my mind.
Yeah? What?
Mama. Why'd you and Mama stop living together, Daddy? Why'd you separate? Aren't you going to answer me?
No.
is sort of my business, I think.
I don't.
Is it another woman? Usually is.
At your age, you always know what's usual.
Is it Mrs. Warren?
Becky, I don't want to start laying the law down your first day back home. But I'll have no more such talk. First time I ever saw Mrs. Warren was last week. She has a job here at which she's very good. And I hope you'll have the good manners to not pry into other people's business. Your mother's and mine.
Pretty good shot, Daddy. Oh, I can understand your trouble. Mama's often so, well, so petulant.
Petulant? You learned a lot of words back east, Becky. Wish to God they'd have taught you some meanings. You were only about 6 months old when your mother stayed alone with you in a sod hut under 8 foot of snow, while I moved the herd 300 miles south to try and save it. Saved about half of it. You were a little more than a year old at the time of the great Comanche raids. We stood off 500 Plains Indians for 9 days. Petulant, Becky? I think you better go on home. See that Ching gets those birds. Becky, come here. There's something I ought to tell you. Guess now's as good a time as any. You're gonna have every young buck west of the Missouri around here trying to marry you. Mostly because you're a handsome filly. But partly because I own everything in this country from here to there. They'll think you're gonna inherit it. Well, you're not. You're gonna leave most of it to, well, to the nation, really. For a park where no lumberman will cut down all the trees for houses with leaky roofs. Nobody will kill all the beaver for hats for dudes, nor murder the buffalo for robes. What I'm gonna give you is a 500 cow spread on the upper Green River. Now, that may not seem like much. It's more than we had, your mother and I. Some folks are gonna say I'm doing all this so I can sit up in the hereafter and look down on a park named after me. Or that I was disappointed in you. Didn't want you to get all that money. But the real reason, Becky, is because I love you. And I want you and some young man to have what I had. Because all the gold in the United States Treasury and all the harp music in heaven can't equal what happens between a man and a woman with all that growing together. I can't explain it any better than that.
All right, Daddy.
Becky. When you're as old as I am, you'll thank me for this.
Daddy, I'm full grown. I wasn't worrying about me. I was thinking about you and Mama.
Oh.
Well, sir, all 3 of them fell right out of the carriage.
Well, it's getting rather late, Becky. It's bedtime.
Oh, Mother. He brought this. He must have intended to use it.
Oh, well.
Sing us a song.
Well, if you really want me to. Gosh, I haven't played in
You
quite
know just right for me.
Sure.
It's the rage now.
Oh.
Oh.
Dev, what are you doing?
Oh. I just thought I'd get another cigar.
Well, you've got one in your mouth and two burning in the tray. Not move.
Fellas want me to play all the time.
You're cuter than a baby steer and softer than a mouse's ear. I want the whole wide world to hear. You're just right for me. You're sweeter than...
Oh, no, not that rhythm, Junior. Do it the way they do at the plaza. I know the words.
Sure, Becky. Will you sing with me?
Of course.
All right.
I love a man who's witty and smart and clever.
It's your move. Oh.
Oh, Deb, you're playing like an amateur. Let's call it an evening. I'd like to know where your mind is tonight. You're sweeter than the early spring or bluebells when they start to... Pretty good. Voice like her father. Feel like a king. You're just right for me. Sweeter than honey, finer than wine. I'm sure they found you on that honeysuckle vine. I would melt in your embrace.
You disappear without a trace.
To die like this is no disgrace.
This is the time.
This is the place for you. Just right for me. Well, that's so good, I kind of hate to break this up. But if we're going to have that Indian hearing tomorrow morning...
Sir, about our conversation earlier this evening, I believe I'd better apologize.
Yeah?
Yes, sir, I've been thinking it over, and when I called you reactionary, well, that's merely my generation's term for your generation. Nothing personal, sir.
Oh, really?
Well, good night, sir. Good night, Miss McClintock.
Good night, and do come again.
Good night, Drago.
Night. Boss, what does reactionary mean?
Me, I guess. He says that anyone that wanted to sell at a profit was a reactionary.
Was we reactionaries back in them days when you was selling beef cattle for 6 cents a pound on the hoof?
Well, no use arguing with him. College boy.
Devlin Warren, if you was my kind of man, you wouldn't let some dude walk off with the prettiest girl west of Denver without putting up some kind of fight.
Does it show? Well, what can I do? I'm just one of her father's employees. I'm just a hired hand around here.
Every so often, Dev, you spill the strangest ideas. Everybody works for somebody. Me, I work for everybody in these United States that steps into a butcher's shop for a T-bone steak. And you work for me. There's not much difference.
Daddy, the most terrible thing just happened. Junior's horse ran away. The one he rented at the livery stable.
Tied up a rented horse by the reins. He's probably back in the stall by now.
I think we can get Junior something that he can ride.
What I'd rather do, Daddy, is drive Junior home in our barouche. It's a lovely evening, and I'm sure Uncle Drago wouldn't mind driving.
I would, and I got the kind of manners don't keep me from saying so, just to be polite.
I'll drive him home, Mr.